Yeah, it's mindset cafe, we all about that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin and your boy Nick.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
And today, just like every live episode, we want to make sure that we are engaging with you guys and you guys are asking those big questions. But today's topic, in between the questions that you guys have for us related to anything with personal development, fitness, mindset, ask away. We're here to answer those questions. But today's topic, we're going to focus on the ladder of success or the hamster wheel of busyness, right? And what separates the two? Are you being busy, or are you actually making real strides and real progression towards your goal, right? And it's easy to really make that mistake of thinking that you're going towards progression when in reality you're just doing the mundane and just doing the tedious work because you think that you're busy. So let's dive into it. Nick, what does it mean to be busy versus being productive?
When you say you're busy, okay, well, let me preface that. My opinion is when you say you're busy, you're just doing, kind of minor tasks or repetitive tasks that, that mentally you tell yourself that, oh, I'm busy. That means that's a good thing. I'm excelling or I'm making progress, versus actually doing actions that are, kind of taking tangible steps forward, that can be measurable, they're actually making a difference towards, completing a task or achieving a goal, right? Because like when you're just doing something just to stay busy, like simple example of like if somebody told me to do something, oh, can you grab this for me? And I'm just walking back and pacing back and forth on the floor right now. I could say, oh, I'm busy. It's like my body's moving, but I'm not actually doing something productive,
Right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it goes into, for me, like almost the illusion of like productivity, right? You feel like you're being productive because you're checking things off of the list for today, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're being productive towards your goal, right? You could be productive in terms of, just doing random things, like you did the laundry, you did the dishes, but you didn't get your workout in. Oh, well, at least I was productive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could have fit that in and still been productive, and almost being truly productive is fitting that in around the other tasks that are going to be there whether you worked out or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing is, activity doesn't always mean basically progress. So just because you're doing something doesn't mean necessarily it's benefiting you, right? If you're doing the laundry right now, you could do it later today, you could have done it earlier today, but you're doing laundry right now, that's not necessarily progress towards having a successful day.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think it can get very detailed when it comes to, our perspective of the tasks that we're doing, if we're just doing it to stay busy or to be as productive. Because the thing is, if you break that down using that example, it's, what are the things that you need to do to be productive, or, to take that proper steps forward towards kind of accomplishing a goal or succeeding in a certain task for the day or whatever, right? So the thing is, if you have to do laundry, but also on top of it, you got to get your workout in and you got to do, let's just say, extra work for work, right? That you didn't get to do at an earlier time of the day. It's like you can put the laundry in and kind of just wait for it to finish and then, continue doing it. But at the same time, it's like, can't you be productive as well? Like put the laundry in and then go work on, like go get a workout in and come back and finish it. You know what I mean?
Or I mean, it's even like, yeah, I mean, staying on the laundry topic, but I mean, yeah, you could put a load in, go get a workout in, and then switch the washer to the dryer. But it's like maybe answering emails all day, and yeah, you're responding to emails and looking at different discounts and stuff that you got in your inbox. But you're not making any strategic moves in terms of emailing someone about your nutrition plan, or you're emailing someone about, skills that you need for a promotion at work. Maybe even, let's say in business, right? Instead of just organizing files, and making things clean and stuff like that, that is beneficial. But would it be more important to organize the files, or maybe work on something that is revenue generating so that you can have extra time to work on the files, right? But if you're like, oh man, I need to fix, process A, but I'm going to organize the files first, it's like, what's more important? I think you have to almost like audit what is the important thing to do first and then go from there. Other thing would be, let's take the gym, for example. We could have spent hours, focusing on the logo and focusing on designing a logo because we want this amazing logo, but we haven't even built the system of what the gym is going to be yet. Versus making the system of the gym, or making, your workout plan of the day, and then designing the thing that's the cherry on top that makes it cool and it's a little more fun. But it's like, sometimes you got to really think about what's more important. In a business, the logo, it's cool, but it's not something that's going to make or break the business. If you don't have the actual business plan down, what's more important to start first?
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know if this is going off on a tangent, but
that's our specialty. So
pretty much. So, but I think when it comes to assessing if the actions that we're doing is, kind of on the latter side, meaning you're actually being productive and progressive, or if you're just staying busy, is the fact of, just to say you're busy, is if you have a goal, or you're trying to, achieve something that is going to excel you, that almost majority of the time means that you're required to do something above what your normal is, or to either venture into something new, do something different, or something uncomfortable that is not going to be the very first thought you would want to do immediately, right then and there, right? But I think, most of the time, everybody can vouch for this, that they want to just do something that is easy, or do that something that the thing that is what they're comfortable with, to say that they're busy, to put off the actual progressive steps that they know they need to do, because they're trying to put it off. I guess procrastination is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like they don't want to do the actions that it takes to make the proper steps forward. Like, for example, it's like, let's just say meal prepping. It's like, oh yeah, I'm busy. Like if you say you want to kind of tailor your nutrition down, starting 2025. Okay, I'm just using this as an example because the new year, new me is about to hit the corner. It's like, what are the actionable steps that you actually need to do to make progress, or to take the steps forward? You actually need to, one, know what you're doing, research, and like have your plan, your meal plan, whatever. Shout out, just low-key plug. If you guys need custom meal plans, we have them here at the gym. But and then having to actually go out and make the effort to buy the food and prep the food appropriately and properly, versus just kind of like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna just choose healthier foods that I buy out, and I'm gonna do that because I'm busy right now. I can't go to the grocery store.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it goes into like the hamster wheel mentality, right? It's essentially like writing a business plan and then tweaking the business plan and then tweaking the business plan, but never even taking action on the first business plan. So you're tweaking things that may or may not even be broken, right? And it goes into, let's say you wrote a workout plan for today, and then you saw a new workout, so you adjusted it, and then you saw something else, and then you heard something else, and you adjusted it, and you keep adjusting these things instead of just going to do the workout, right? It's like you can add those additional workouts in later, or on your next leg day, or your next chest day, right? But the main thing people start to forget, and when you have a hamster wheel mentality, is sometimes it's just the action that needs to be taken, right? For example, like if we go to networking events like we do, if we're always networking with people, but we're never following up with people, then what does it matter that we're networking with people? Cool, we met a bunch of people, but we're never staying in touch with them, so we're not creating a network. We're creating a lot of acquaintances, right? But it reminded me of this book that I read. Basically, it's called Eat the Frog. One of the members of RBO actually sent it to me in the Mindset Cafe community. We were talking about, what books did you finish at the end of the month? If you guys aren't already in the Mindset Cafe community on Facebook, there's a free Facebook group, as well as on Instagram. There's an Instagram channel. Make sure you guys go in there. We post, daily, and between mindset, fitness, and all those kind of things, we post little things to kind of help you on your journey. But it reminded me of Eat the Frog, which is the concept of the book basically talks about you should plan out your next day ahead of time, right? You already know what you're going to do the next day, but you should put the hardest thing first. And the reason being is we always wait to do the hard thing and procrastinate the hard thing in the day. And then we fill the beginning part of the day up with just the tedious tasks to feel like we're being progressive and making the right movements. But at the end of the day, all of a sudden you'll hit that last task and you're like, oh man, look, this is too big to start right now. I'm just gonna wait until tomorrow. And then again, it happens again. All of a sudden the due date hits and then you're rushing to finish it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have a half-assed product versus just doing the first thing out the gate in the morning. That's the thing that you're talking about that's gonna move the needle, mm-hmm. right? Doing the big thing. And sometimes, like, I know we've talked about power lists before, right? What I've come to learn in my own experience of the power list is that if you don't currently have a system, the power list works great, right? Write down 5 things that are going to move the needle, get them all done in a day, whether you finish it by noon, whether you finish it by 5 p.m., you're done with your tasks and now you can do busy stuff or just have fun. But what I've come to learn is some tasks are bigger than others, and it's more important to get one task done today than fill my day up with 4 meaningless tasks just because I know it's something that I can hit my 5, right? So your power list, in my opinion, now is what are you going to get done tomorrow, whether it's 1 thing or 5 things or 10 things, right? I wouldn't suggest going more than 5. I've done it, and it can get kind of stressful because you want to get everything done for the day. But 1 to 5 things, if things are bigger in weight, then obviously less volume of things, so that you can really focus your time on them. Let's say you're going to build a website. That shit takes time. That might be 1 task of the day. If you're going to design a logo, that doesn't take that much time. You can always revamp it. We added our secondary part to our logo, this little part later on, right? You can always revamp those things. So it's like, if you're creating a logo, create the base level, revamp later, right? But I do think that the Eat the Frog book, why it took a whole book to say the one message, in my opinion, you don't need to buy it. I literally just told you the whole book. Do the hard thing of the day first, right? And then go from there. Like, what are your thoughts on the power list, and what are your thoughts on like eating the frog first?
I honestly, like, I'm on the same page with you, and I'm not just saying that on a biased opinion because we almost have the same brain. But like, as you were saying, I was like, damn, like that's literally what I was gonna say too, in a sense of like the way like I've started to see, how to approach like my things to do is that not so much that I was putting like things that were already like a mandatory, you know what I mean, for the day, but more so like starting to concentrate on the more major tasks. Like the terminology that you used was the things that once you do accomplish it, it's actually going to move the needle or take a big step. You know what I mean? It's like a wheel. Like, do you want to use like a little tiny wheel that's just kind of like making any progress or barely even moving? Or if you actually like use or get to use or accomplish like a bigger wheel, you get to actually move the needle further. Does that make sense? Or
no, that kind of defeats the purpose. Like, it doesn't matter.
Maybe I said that wrong.
You're on a wheel.
Oh yeah. I meant
so the difference between like,
your vehicle.
No, yeah, I get where you're going with it. But the difference between a wheel, right, whether it's a small wheel or a big wheel, right? If you have a small wheel, essentially you'd be just doing the same tedious task without adding anything of value.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're on a bigger wheel, in my thought would be like, you're saying you're, writing a business plan and you're just going around this big wheel writing a business plan. But the difference between a wheel and a ladder is that a wheel is an endless cycle,
mm-hmm.
right? It's you're going to keep doing the same shit over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. Versus with the ladder, you're going from level 1 to level 2.
Yeah.
Level 3, and up. But with the wheel, you can't go to level 2 because every time you get to the top, you bring you right back down. And you go to the top, right back down.
Yeah.
Right.
that's essentially what I was trying to go with. Maybe the wheel was a bad example, but kind of picking up where I left off is like, now I kind of try to look at my, like my tasks and like things to do as more of an approach. Like, okay, what is the most, I guess, like the major things that are going to have the biggest impact, right? On like or have the biggest outcome, you know what I mean? Towards like the certain goals or the actual things that I'm trying to accomplish or get done, you know what I mean? Or things that are honestly may seem more complicated, or that's going to be mostly time consuming and I'm sure that those things end up being for a reason. Like, it's time consuming because you know, it's going to take a lot more effort, or it's going to take a lot more brain power, or you know what I mean? It's not just something that's like a quick immediate task for me to just stay busy in the moment, you know, because then that's kind of like how I started it here, like moving through my list of things to do, is the fact of like the things that I already know how to do, like, or that I know is going to take me, you know, fairly quick amount of time. It's like I usually save those like after I've completed the more major tasks, like the bigger task, you know what I mean? Because I know those things are going to get done, and like those things are going to take me a lot less time taking up my day, rather than working on the actual bigger picture or the bigger thing to do that is going to make a bigger, much more tremendous difference, and like actually making a difference.
Right. I mean, it's just coming down to having a ladder mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like like Joe said, learn how to plan your day and you can add more tasks. That's what it comes down to, is organizing your day, not the morning of, right? Because, and I've learned this in personal experience, and honestly, I will say sometimes, especially let's say Christmas, I didn't plan the next day, and it was one of those things where my day definitely started off a lot slower, because now I was working almost from a reactive state of what am I going to do today, versus, you know, obviously there was tedious stuff that I was doing, answering emails and calling people I needed to call, but like, what was I going to do today that was going to move the needle, versus then doing it the night before. You have time to plan your day out, and that's the last task of the day, is plan tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So after all your other tasks are done, before you go to bed, you know, if that's when you want to do it, but I would do it before you check out of like work mode. Like, what do I need to do tomorrow? And then you write down your, you know, however many tasks it is. And then that way, when you wake up from your alarm clock, you already know, I'm going to go into this. One thing I will say that did help me get into that mode of, you know, eating the frog first kind of deal was, and now I've kind of just adapted it around my schedule. But originally, like, reading right when the day started, sometimes, like, if I wake up and I feel a little bit slower in going, instead of tackling that first task first, even though I know what it is, sometimes I'm like, you know what, before I get this task, I'm going to read now. And it almost like is a warm up for my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's one thing I will say, even though I do start off with like the hardest task first now, some mornings you wake up and you're just not all there, or not 100% yet. So it's like, you can't get your brain to fire on all cylinders to that task yet. So for me, you know, reading 10 pages, you know, even if it's reading 5 pages and just something to get me going, that will allow my brain to start that creative process, or really start that analytical process, whatever the task that I need to be, you know, going towards. I've noticed that there has been an improvement in that, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
And I think for me, like, I mean, I'm not working towards like a fitness goal at the moment, or normal. I mean, just kidding. But I think, I guess I want to use this example because a lot of people, especially here in the gym, can relate to it. It's like, if you actually have a goal that you want to set, let's just say this coming year, into gaining more muscle, losing body fat, so on and so forth. It's like, audit yourself in the actions of like, okay, I'm going to the gym to work out, right? But are you doing the same thing? Are you kind of like in that constant thing where like you work out the same, you approach the workouts the same? Are you doing the same, giving the same amount of effort? Is your nutrition the same? Like, you're not really watching what you're eating, or you kind of eating clean, but you're not actually backing it up with the actual numbers, the hard facts. And I think taking that audit of yourself and your actions and the efforts that you're putting in can actually help you take a step back and kind of see what are the next steps you should take to actually climb up a ladder and make a progressive step forward, instead of kind of just repeating the actions that you're doing, which is running around in a hamster wheel in a sense. Because I think if you have without over planning, without like just, doing the research and just stay in the planning stage, once you actually have a solid foundation, kind of like what you said earlier, you got to follow through with it. You know what I mean? But you have to have something solid to follow through. It's like if you tell yourself you're gonna start meal prepping appropriately, and you're gonna start actually training smarter, and like kind of when you do come into the gym, I'm gonna go up 5-10 pounds heavier like for this week, and then the following week I'm gonna go up another increment or so, or I'm gonna add more time to my workout, whatever it may be. I think that's another tactical like tip as far as like having that, actual clear path and clear goal as to how you're going to climb that ladder is also going to help you. Because if you don't have, a plan or a map to follow, you are going to end up doing what you're comfortable in doing. Because you come in for the first time to work out, and then you acclimate to that type of workout, how you're giving even that energy to that workout. It's like that starts to become comfortable for you. Now the task of working out and like applying the same effort and actions, kind of you're just repeating the same thing, but you're not actually progressing up. Yeah. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people, and they're like, damn, I'm not making any progress. Well, the question is, damn, well, are you like making a plan and actually executing a plan to move up?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
I will say like a little preview to the people that are listening. I mean, that's one of the things that we noticed too. And it's like, if the collaboration does work out with Olympus AI, right? Oh. With like Strive, we know that, tracking your calories, tracking your, calories burned, calories in, calories out, all that stuff is super beneficial. But also, what else can we do to help? So there's actually a company that they're a startup company, but we're actually in the process right now of collaborating with them and actually working with this device that you clip on yourself, or it's magnetic, so it actually clips on the equipment depending on if it's metal or not, but it actually tracks your reps that you do. So in the rounds, each station, you'll know, okay, I did 100 jumping jacks last time. Round 2, I want to try to get 101, right? And so forth. Or you did 100 push-ups, right? In whatever the case may be, 100 box jumps. And then the next round, you can try to beat your own score, which again starts to move that needle. If you're lifting weights, not only can you track your reps, but you can also track the weight that you do, right? So then you can kind of see and track it and progress it, accordingly. So I think that is a cool thing, and that probably won't be rolled out officially until like later, but we're gonna start testing it. I know in January, so it's gonna be kind of cool.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, so that'd be kind of cool for the people that are, looking for that next little level. We're trying to make sure that we always stay on top of like the technology edge. So that's exactly a perfect example of like us taking an audit and like, kind of looking into things as to how we're going to keep climbing that ladder, and on all angles, business angles, but also for our members, how can we help them progress and take accountability as to, making sure that they're not just doing what's comfortable for them, or staying where they've acclimated to, because again, like we've said it many times, without progress, you're just at a constant, and eventually you're just. What it means is if you're not progressing, you're degressing.
Yeah, there you go. I do want to ask, like, for the people that are, on not partying right now because it's the holiday weekend or about to be New Year's, share with us a time or certain things that you've realized yourself that you've kind of like you feel like you're stuck in a wheel doing the same actions but not able to make progressive steps forward. I stopped because I was like, wait, I don't want to make that too long.
Say it again now, because that was like a weird. I thought you were gonna keep it going.
Ask a paragraph question.
Yeah.
Like for those of you guys that are listening, like share a time or a specific thing that for you guys personally that you've come to realize that you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you're in a loop, or kind of like in a hamster wheel, pretty much, that you're trying to progress but you feel like you're not getting anywhere with it.
And then, I mean, something that you did while y'all in the comments start throwing it in, not throwing it back, Nick, like you would want to do when the music is on. one thing you did say though that I think is important is you have to be able to audit your list, right? And what I mean by that is like you created your power list of today, whether again it's one task or it's 5 tasks. As you accomplish the task, check it off, right? Even in like what I've done too, sometimes is like in Apple Notes, right? You can create a checklist in Apple Notes and create your checklist in there, right? And with the checklist, you can literally click the little bubble and it'll actually move it to the bottom of the list. So then it actually starts to show you, you know, what's left done for the day. I know we use another software and stuff called Trello, but that's a little more like business oriented. You know, you don't really need that for just personal tasks, but for like personal tasks and stuff around my actual big tasks, like I'll use Apple Notes and stuff just because it's like, you know, get groceries, whatever. Like that, in between my downtime, I can look at that list and be like, okay, what can I check off the list of this? Most important to least important, right? And that can be an ongoing list, right? So that doesn't need to be a power list necessarily. But what you can do is if you're only using that as your power list and your ongoing list is you can basically create a checklist of your 5 things you're gonna do today or one thing, whatever, and then create a space and then just have the checklist keep going. And then, you know, basically you can copy and paste and move stuff up to do tomorrow, right? So it's just an effective way. But how you can audit your routine is if you set one task for today to be done, did you get it done? If so, have a calendar out and put a check on it, right? If you didn't, put an X on it. At the end of the month, look at it and be like, okay, or even at the end of the week, look at it and be like, how effective am I this week, right? One of your powerless tasks could be getting a workout in if that's something that's difficult for you. But then something that you mentioned that if that's no longer difficult for you, then take that off the power list. That's now a habit, right? The power list isn't meant to be habit filled. It's meant to be things that are going to move the needle, right? So if that's already part of your normal routine, take that off because that's now you're just checking that off to just check it off.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think too, I mean, it depends on like what your goal is or what you're working towards. Don't think like either that if it's like a project, a task or something that you're working towards, like if it's something that, you know, that is going to take you more than a day, or is maybe that's why some people put it off or procrastinate on certain tasks or you know, things that they want to do that's going to actually progress them forward because they're I guess discouraged maybe is the right word to say, like, oh man, this is going to take time. Well, I think the realization of, yeah, no shit, like things that are going to excel you forward and great things do take time. But with that being said, just because you don't accomplish, like finish or get to that specific, you know, goal immediately, you got to ask yourself, did I actually work on it though? You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest question. Like, did I wholeheartedly put intent in trying to achieve it, or at least taking steps forward to get there? Or did I just not even freaking try? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you didn't want to freaking try because like, oh, in our head, it's like, I'm just going to do like these shorter, quicker things that I already know how to do. And I'm going to fill my time up. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I think that's an important thing to realize. Like, you can't keep filling your time up with small little tasks that you already know how to do, that you're going to do regardless anyway, because it's already part of your daily routine or part of your habits and stuff. Because at the end of the day, before you freaking know it, you're running out of time. You're going to run out of time to actually achieve the bigger goal or accomplish the bigger task that you're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm just going to like use an example. Like, there's certain things, like, especially for like us here, like me and Devin at the gym, it's like, there's certain things and tasks and projects and stuff that we have to get done like within a certain year, like by the end of the year, right? And it's like, if we just keep putting it off like throughout the year, it's like, damn, now it's like we're all crammed up and like with the thought of like, oh damn, like, are we gonna finish it by the end of this year? So instead of like being in that panic mode because of like being afraid, it's like approaching each major things like, okay, well, these are the major tasks that we actually need to do and need to get done. You slowly work towards those because it's not like a one-day type thing, but still, are you doing the actions and taking the steps forward to actually finish the task?
Yeah, I think like going into that too is like you realize that don't get put into a state of paralysis by thinking it has to be perfect, right? Because some things, some tasks or some projects, you'll sit and you'll retweak and you'll redo those things because you have this idea of what it needs to be in a perfect sense. When in reality, if you just take the action on getting it done, you can always tweak it later, right? And focus on something else that's going to move the needle, because what you think it needs to be quote unquote perfect may not even matter, right? It may be perfect already, and by you tweaking it more and more and more, you're going to get to a point where it's never going to really meet this idea that you have in your head, or you're just using this idea of perfection as a way to not do as something else. You're using it as an excuse so that you can continue to work on it and to avoid and basically prolong and procrastinate on the other things that you actually need to do, right? Which can kind of go into some of the things we've mentioned before, is like being task driven, like a task list driven. You can also have an accountability group for it as well. If it's with the work, right? You know, you hold yourself accountable, but then other people on a team could hold you accountable. Your coworkers hold you accountable. Your family, right? If you said you're going to do these things, like you let your significant other know, and then that's the person that's holding you to it, right? Because otherwise, if you don't have an accountability system to some people that do need that, it could affect you, and then you could be in that loop, you know, without getting any feedback, right?
I think, yeah, like I was so into what you were saying, I forgot my thought process for a second.
I will say shout out to Patty, because Patty is at the movies and she said she's still tuning in right now. So shout out, Patty. And then I would just say, you know, kind of going into the checklist thing, you know, you can use Apple, or you can use, you know, you can physically write down a checklist of the day, right? I would say make sure that you don't have like checklist addiction. Again, filling your checklist up with meaningless things. Your checklist of your power list is only meant for things that are going to move the needle, right? I had this conversation with someone that they listened to the Andy Frisella one where he talks about the power list. And that's why I say it doesn't always need to be 5, was he was putting things on there that it was like workout, read. And I was like, do you do that every day? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. I was like, so what else do you have on your list? And it was like 5 things. I was like, how often does your list change? And he's like, well, it's, you know, this is my power list. And I was like, okay, but you're doing the same shit every day. Like, you don't even need to have a list, right? Like, where is the thing? What's moving the needle, right? These are all this is your fucking lifestyle. Your power list isn't supposed to be lifestyle things. It's supposed to be things that are going to make you move towards whatever goal you set. And so I want to say, how you decide to set your power list is the easiest way I've found is set a goal and you work backwards, right? And so Patty mentioned, you know, she's starting a list for the new year. For sure, you guys make me think of my priorities and goals, you know, personal and fitness. Thank you. Appreciate you, Patty.
Shout out, Patty.
And so going into that, like your 2025 goal, what is your 2025 goal? What do you want to achieve by December 31st, 2025? Okay, whatever that goal is. Now realize that the year has 4 quarters to it. What are you going to get done? What do you need to have done by quarter 4 or quarter 3? Because the end of quarter 4 is the end of the year. What do you need to have by quarter 3 done to be on track, right? Divide it by 3, and then set that milestone for 2, set that milestone for 1. Now, in between each of those quarters, you have how many months?
3.
Attaboy. So there's 3 months to each of those quarters. I just had to make sure Nick was paying attention to me, you know, or just, I don't know if he was getting googly eyes at me. So you have 3 months in those quarters. So now whatever that 1 quarter milestone is, break that into monthly milestones, right? Now you have a more realistic plan. What do I need to achieve by the end of the month to be on pace to hit my end of the year goal? Then you can take it 1 step further and be like, okay, what do I need to have done by the end of the week, right? So now you break that 1 month milestone into 4 weeks, and then that 1 week milestone into 7 days. And now it's a lot more digestible to hit whatever goal it may be versus looking at that end goal and being like, damn, that it's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it. And then fucking you have the same goal for 2026. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it. And it's like, because you procrastinate all the time and you wait till the last minute, and then it's too big to even, you know, go for it and accomplish it within a month, because it's a true year-long goal. So it goes into that saying, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. But you don't know what that is unless you break it down.
Damn, we're talking about eating animals.
So it's like, but that's my biggest thing is like, you can have a huge goal, right? But break it down backwards. If you try to figure it out forward, it's a lot harder, because then you're like, okay, my goal is this. What do I need to have done this week? And then what, you know, and then week 2, and then I'm trying to break it into 52 things forward, and then hoping that the end goal is the same, versus, you know, taking whatever's big and dividing it, and then dividing it, right?
And I think to add to what you just said, and that very helpful tool is with breaking it down, I think it'll help too, if like with that example of like, you know, kind of the fitness thing, it's like, be very specific. If you're specific with your goal, and also the milestones and the task that you're trying to accomplish. And when I say task, it's not going to be like, obviously, like you're not going to accomplish that in a day. But if you are, you know, if your task or whatever's on your list is very specific, in line with your goal, and all of that is, you know, you put an actual tangible number to it, I think the accountability factor is so much, you know, heavier on that. Because what I mean is like, okay, let's just say most people will say, what's your goal for 2025? Lose weight. Yeah, but how much fucking weight?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, and like, I'm not saying, say I'm gonna lose 50, I mean, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds next year. But the thing is like, if this is just examples, if you said I'm gonna lose 20 to 30 pounds next year, right? Okay, that's a great goal. Now break that up.
Like, no, I would say, I want to stop right there. I agree with everything you're saying. But when someone says I want to lose 20 or 30, which one?
Yeah.
Right. And because we give ourselves that fluctuation just in case we don't hit 30. So why the fuck did you say 30?
Yeah.
So you want to lose 30. You don't want to lose 20.
Yeah.
The 20 was I'm okay if I only lose 30. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. No. If you want to lose 30, you want to lose 30. Let's do it. Now let's break 30 down.
Exactly.
Right? And if you don't, and you only lose 20, that sucks, but you'll at least be happy with it. But your goal is 30, right? Don't give yourself 2 goals, because now your brain doesn't know what the one goal is.
It's giving itself an out.
Right. So also I want to say something that I'm trying to remember what it is as I'm talking right now. Because what you were saying of like putting a tangible number to things, I think that is one of the biggest things. Again, I'm still thinking as I'm talking right now, but
it's because I'm in your brain. That's
no, because now I'm stuck on this, because honestly, this is such an important thing, because so many people put a non-tangible or non-trackable goal to their year or to their month or to their life, and then there's no way to assess it or audit if you're actually on pace. I want to open a business by when? What is the date? Not by June 1st, June 15th. When is your date? When is your cutoff? Right? What kind of business? Right? Give me something. You need to have a more detailed thing, so your brain and your subconscious starts to look for the opportunities to align with exactly what the goal it is told. Right? But I still can't remember what I was going to go. It was with something. What were you saying in the beginning of that part before you went into the tangible part? Because that's where it came. That's where I had that thought bubble.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say what I was saying. Is the fact of, you know, like whatever your end goal is, one, that has to be specific. But 2, like breaking up your whatever that specific main goal is into other milestones that are also specific, right? That way you can track you can set yourself like actual trackable goals that are like actual numbers, because then, damn, you lost me on what I was saying. But that's essentially what I was saying, that pretty much like if you tell yourself like I want to lose 30 pounds for next year, right? And but how are you going to lose that 30 pounds? Like, are you trying to lose 15? You want to tell yourself that you're going to lose 15 pounds by the middle of the year to give yourself a halfway point. Now break up that first half of the year into even more actual tactical number goals. Like, okay, so within this next couple weeks to 3 weeks, my goal is to lose at least like 3 pounds. Okay, minimum 3 pounds. And how am I going to get there? Then break that up.
Taking a poop.
Yeah, that too. Also, it's like, okay, break those up into, for me to be able to lose the 3 pounds, I need to make sure that my nutrition is on point, and I need to work out 5 days minimum for the week. And within those 5 day workouts, I need to at least work out 30 minutes.
I mean,
I'm just using example numbers.
So like, yes, but you can get more strategic with it in terms of you want to lose 3 pounds by, you said next week?
Couple weeks.
Okay, let's say you want to lose 3 pounds in 3 weeks. Now, to lose 3 pounds, to lose 1 pound, I need to burn 3,500 calories. I need to have a 3,500 calorie deficit, meaning by the end of the week, I need to have burnt, it's all about inputs and outputs. So I need to have more output and less input of a difference of 3,500 each week. So in total, to lose 3 pounds, right, I need to have fucking 10,500 calories burnt, if my math is right, for in 3 weeks. Now I can look at it and be like, okay, instead of being like, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, I'm going to work out 5 days, because each day I'm going to burn X. I'm not even going to do that math in my head right now. Do X amount of calories per day, right? If I'm going to only do it in 3 days, then again, I need to burn 35 divided by 3. How you do that is your choice. But again, be strategic and like, I'm going to burn 500 here. I'm going to weight lift. My goal is, this amount. And it's, if you don't hit it, then you have to follow it up with something, or you don't get to leave the gym until you hit that calorie burn. I remember what I was going to say when you were talking, and as I was explaining that, I remembered it again because I did forget it again. But
just spit it out before you forget.
But so like going into that, right? This is the perfect example of what I was going to say, is that you can have a goal, right? And with breaking it down into quarterly to monthly to weekly things, and then weekly to daily things. Now, when I was talking about doing a power list, it may have came off that you have to complete a complete task on your power list, but that's not necessarily the case if it is a collective one for the week. Let's say it's 3,500 or 3,500 calories. My one thing of the power list today, right, could be burning X amount of calories, which isn't completing my task of 3 pounds, but it is completing the task to keep me on track to move the needle.
There you go.
Right? So again, opening a business, right? Let's say by quarter 1, I need to have my business plan done. Now I break that down. I need to have these chapters, these chapters and these chapters done by my weekly marks or monthly marks, and now so forth. So my one task for today, breaking to a daily thing, is I need to find out how to get the numbers I need to make a P&L. That's the one thing. I don't need to have my whole business plan. My power list isn't creating an entire business plan. It is to find this one section of my business plan. Tomorrow, I am focused on this section of my business plan. And over the course of the collective days, by the end of quarter 1, I will have a complete business plan. But I've set my goal to be quarter 1. So then I just break it down the other way. So it doesn't need to necessarily be, let's say, like I said, build a website. Today, I'm not building a website. Actually, that's one of the tasks. I'm revamping the website. The one task is to just focus on this one page and adjust the writing or the script on this one page today. Tomorrow, I'm going to input the pictures or videos on that same page. So I haven't even finished the page for the day, but I've broken that down into smaller things to hit that and continue to hit bigger things that continuously move the needle. Does that make sense?
Yes, that what you just said, I'm glad you remembered it, because I hit this whole topic right on the head. Honestly, like, that was great, because I think that's what most people like fail to realize, is the fact of we're putting off those steps or those tasks, that will incrementally move us forward towards the bigger goal, right? And again, one major key thing is be as specific as you can be with your whole main goal and the steps and the little tasks that it will take to achieve the ultimate goal, instead of being afraid of, that's what it is. Most people are looking so far ahead and thinking of being afraid of like, oh man, like this is going to take a long time. Oh man, these are the so many things along the way that I need to do to accomplish the goal. That's why they push it to the side and do everything else. Like, I'm going to stay busy doing the same thing that I've already do on a daily basis. It's like, fuck, you might as well put brushing your teeth on your power list if that's if that's how you kind of want to think about it. You know what I mean? So I think that's a great audit for everybody that's listening, and that whoever hears this in the future is like, take a step back real quick. Don't stay there too long, but look at your actions and look at your list and actually put some intent into the, you know, kind of breaking your specific goal down all the way throughout, but also like making sure that the things that you put for you to accomplish within a day or the next couple of days is something, and that you work on those first. You know what I mean? Because once you, and think about the feeling that you get, because although you didn't lose the 3 pounds immediately, right? It's not, I mean, you're not even completed 3 weeks yet. You know, you're on your first day 1 or day 2. It's like, yeah, you didn't lose 3 pounds within day 1 and day 2, but you burned the amount of calories you were supposed to working towards those 3 pounds. You got a workout in, right? You ate clean for the day. It's like, think about how good you feel, because you know, your brain knows, and you know yourself that you took a step forward up in the ladder. You didn't just put it to the side and just let your day and your time run and your body do the motion of the things that it was already comfortable with, and you didn't even make any progress for the day, you know? And I think that's another thing too. It's like, at the end of the day, doing the audits, it's like, how productive was I in, you know, accomplishing my actual major tasks that's going to help me move forward or achieve the goal that I'm trying to, you know? Because when at the end of the day, it's like, you're going to sit there and feel good about yourself. Like, hell yeah, I did that and I checked this off, and that's going to eventually, like, you know, I'm on my way there to the goal. Or you're going to sit there with one of my favorite words, regret. Like, fuck, I should have did this. Ah, damn, I ran out of time, didn't do this. It's like, dude, like, you made your bed, now you got to lay in it. You know what I mean? After you reassess and you audit yourself at the end of the day, that's when you should definitely prep yourself. It's a perfect time to prep your next day, so you know what not to do.
Right. I mean, Barbara said, you know, people need to create SMART goals. You know what SMART goals are?
Tell me why. I was like, where have I heard that before?
Yeah. I mean, it's a basic level like thing when you're creating goals. I mean, we kind of just covered all the aspects of it in a different way, but it's basically S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for attainable, R is for relevant, and then T is for time bound, right? So you want to make sure you're creating specific goals, right, that are measurable. So you need to have a number or something to it that can be actually tracked and audited. And setting realistic goals, like, I want to lose 100 pounds, this year, or let's say I want to lose 100 pounds this month, right? Is like, realistically, that's not attainable, just the way the body works. Let's break that down a little bit more and set a realistic goal of what even something that could be aggressive. It could still be aggressive. But if this is what people typically lose within a week, or let's say 1 pound to 2 pounds in a week, right? Some people can lose more, but if that's the case, it's like, okay, times 2, you could lose 104 pounds, but knowing that that's your goal, realize that there's going to be plateaus. There's going to be sticking points. You're not going to lose as much as you did in the beginning, at the end, so forth. So it's like, let's set a goal for, again, still aggressive, 80 pounds for the year, right? And now you break that down every quarter, you need to have lost, 20 pounds, right? And again, you can adjust your goal if needed, but your goal should still be to hit whatever you set for it. Mm-hmm. If you start hitting plateaus and you realize that was too aggressive, adapt the goal so that you can still be on track, that you can readjust not just your goal, but your plan to continue to fit you moving the needle, mm-hmm. right?
And that goes with like the thought process of it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why like the new year, new me. It's like we're keep putting it off for a perfect moment when there's no perfect moment. Is to just start and put your fucking foot forward like
Right.
now.
Sometimes we just underestimate how much or how big a goal is until we actually get to it.
Like that one time that you told us to swim in the pool. Let's swim
Okay.
a quarter mile.
No, it was a mile originally. During COVID, all right, but dude,
Story time.
during COVID, I convinced Nick and our other friend, that because we were doing workouts and stuff, like we were doing the Strive workouts, at the house and everything. And I convinced them that we should just swim a mile for a workout. Mind you, none of us are swimmers. Like we all know how to swim, but none of us are swimmers. And the last time I did this I was like 18 and getting ready for a fight. I paced it out, did the whole math, I literally measured out the pool, divided that or multiplied it, made the whole thing. I was like, all right, we need to do X amount of laps. We got into it and we got into like an eighth of a mile. And I realized, oh boy, ain't no way. All of us are going to drown. Right.
Bro, I don't know how many times we swam back and forth. And I looked at you like, yo, bro, this was underestimated for sure.
Well, I mean, that was the thing. Is like we got to almost a quarter mile, and both of my calves are locking. Both my quads are cramping up.
I forgot how to swim.
Yeah, and it was just like we all look like baby Doberman pinchers or Great Danes swimming in the pool all floppy and getting all crazy. But again, so we adapted, and it was like let's just hit a quarter of a mile. And so we still we weren't done yet. We didn't just we hit a quarter mile. Let's just stop here. We realized that like an eighth of a mile, like ain't no way we're making to a mile. It's like, for today, let's hit a quarter. Like we still, like all of us are dying right now, but let's at least hit a quarter of a mile, right? It was either a quarter or a half, and like that shit. But I couldn't raise my arm for a few days. Like I was sore, right? But again, that's something that you adapt as you go, right? Launching the franchise, for example, the goal originally told by us by our advisor was like typically it gets launched within a year to 2 years. We put the pedal to the metal and I was like, okay, look, it's going to take 2 years. Like I'm going to try to launch this in a year. We launched it within 6 months, but then it was like, okay, there's still things I don't know yet and stuff like that. So it's like, it's launched, but our official launch didn't happen for an additional 6 months, which was the adjusted plan, right? So things you can hit your year goal in 6 months. And then what? Then you don't have another goal for the rest, right? So it was like, then we had to adapt and create a new goal and then break that down in the time frame. Sometimes you hit your goal faster than you even thought you would, or you're able to do more, accomplish more in the time frame, realizing that you undervalued how much you can get done. And so sometimes you'll hit your goal fast and you just got to readjust and add a new level to your goal to make sure that you're continuing to move the needle. Because just because you hit the goal doesn't mean that you get to let your foot off the pedal, right?
Job's not finished.
Exactly. But one way to kind of measure it real quick too is like, what is if you don't know if the tasks you're doing are productive tasks or just tedious tasks, think about what is your ROI on the task, right? And what I mean by that is like
he means return on investment,
right? But I mean in terms of like you could continue to read a cookbook or cook articles, but if you're never cooking, what the fuck does it matter that you read all these cookbooks? Right? So if you're not actually putting it into action ever, there's no return on your investment. You keep reading muscle magazines, but you still keep not going to the gym. There's no return on all this knowledge that you're getting. And now you're almost in a learning loop, right? So you're on a hamster wheel of learning, telling yourself that you're setting up a plan and so forth, but you're just, again, overindulging in information and lacking in the execution phase, which is most important. Sometimes it's more important just to get started and learn as you go, right? I mean, it's almost depending on the goal and situation. Like sometimes it's better to be in sink or swim mode than in like I'm on shore watching someone else sink or swim, and yeah, they are moving a little bit, but I want to move fast. So when I get in the water, I'm just gonna swim. It's like, no, bitch, just jump in and see what happens, and then figure it out.
No, that's definitely like applying, the things that you read about or the things that you're researching and stuff. It's like, it doesn't do anything, like for you to actually attain what you want to get or achieve the goal, you have to move. I mean, it sounds very simple, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like that's what a lot of people are stuck off. It's stuck on. It's like, I'm gonna look for the best program. I'm gonna look for, it's like I'm gonna research the best like workout split, the best like weight increment, like so on and so forth. Yeah, but it's like if you don't lift the fucking weight, it ain't gonna do shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes, one other thing I want to add too is like, while you're auditing yourself and your task list too, one thing I would say is like, one thing to kind of keep mind of is like, where are your energy leaks? Where are things that are taking time, energy, and focus away from what you need to be doing that you're doing whether you realize it or not? For example, you're working and you need to send out all these emails. 5 emails in, you get a little ding on your phone and you're texting someone. Not related to anything that you're doing, not important. It's just, someone sent you an emoji and you're, responding with another emoji, right? Instead of just doing that on your lunch or doing that when you're actually done with whatever you're doing. Or let's say you're making a social media post, right? For business or whatever, you're making a social media post, then you post it. And then instead of getting off of social media to continue doing what you're doing, now you're scrolling for an hour, right? So identify the areas that you're taking away time, energy, and focus from what you need to be doing while you're doing the things you need to be doing. So the things that you keep getting caught up with, your phone rings all the time and it's, spam calls, but you're answering it anyways, put your shit on silent, put it in your bag, whatever. Let's say you're building a website and you get an email notification, you go to your delete the email because it was a spam email. Again, turn that notification off. So identify those areas that you're making that mistake.
And I think too, like, that's a great point, because it's like, in realizing what we were just talking about, prioritizing your tasks, right? Like, instead of kind of doing the same repetitive things and just trying to keep busy with the things you already need and already have to do and know how to do, that you're going to do anyway, it'll probably take you so much faster. Or at least like it'll take up a good amount of time, but it's something already like it's your norm. You know what I mean? Think about like allocating your energy, just like what you said. It's like, think about how much progress you would make if you prioritize doing, the bigger task or the working on the bigger goals first. Because there, when you have your full energy and like you're fresh or whatever, you just wake up and it's like the first things that you're actually working on and you're pouring a lot of your energy. Think how much more you can move that needle, right? Because also at the same time, it's like, all right, let's be fair. Like, okay, you ended up working on like, that major task or working towards that bigger goal, right? But you put it towards the end, or you save it towards the very, like the last thing, and you prioritize the smaller things, like your norm. Think about, and that norm could be, so much to your own detail, but think about how much energy, focus, and like intent you kind of poured into there, and it ate up a good amount of time, but then you're not able to actually maybe give or perform as optimum as you would in applying that much more to what you could have to that bigger task.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that was a great point too.
No, I want to give you like one more analogy to kind of round up everything we've kind of talked about, right? In terms of the importance of, instead of January coming around, you seeing the end goal and being like, damn, that is so big, you kind of getting, paralyzed by the fact that it's such a huge goal. Think about Domino's, not the pizza, Nicholas. Think about Domino's, like the actual, little physical Domino's. If you set up a life size, of us Domino and try to push it over, it's gonna be pretty heavy, right? And maybe you try to pick it up, it's gonna be really heavy. But if your goal is to push it over and you put a little smaller domino in front of it and a little smaller domino all the way down till you get a regular domino size, if you actually push that small domino, it'll knock over one that's a little bit bigger, which will knock over one that's a little bit bigger, and knock over a little bit bigger, and all of them start to add up, and then they easily without any effort will knock over the biggest domino. And the analogy behind that is essentially what you're doing when you reverse engineer your goal for the year, right? You have your big goal, you're breaking into smaller goals, which break into smaller goals and the small goals. So by you doing the daily things, it hits over the weekly domino, which hits over the monthly domino, which hits over the quarterly, which hits over the year, right? So just want to give that little analogy.
Damn, that was a good one.
I just wanted to wrap it up with that, guys. But like always, guys, we do appreciate you guys. We know it's a holiday weekend, or maybe next week's a holiday weekend. One of them is a holiday weekend, but we appreciate you guys. We do love all the support. Make sure you guys tell people that we do go live on Fridays. I know we need to get better at posting ahead of time to remind people, but that's something we'll put on the to-do list,
our task,
our power list, and our reminders and stuff. But if you guys ever have any questions, again, jump in the Facebook group, jump in the Instagram channel. We're both in there on both of them, and we can see any questions and stuff that you guys have, any issues, anything in fitness and nutrition and personal development mindset. But with that being said, guys, we love y'all. We appreciate you guys, and peace.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Just in the game of life, mindset causes shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to